Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Wednesday, July 31st, the last day of July, if you can believe that. I'm still back in April and May. Gary Wunder is with us, National Federation of the Blind. Good to have you here, Gary.
Oh, good to be here. It's air conditioned.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a couple of topics that we wanted to talk about today with Gary. And one, start off, Gary, is that you were on a commission to help choose the types of voting machines for Boone County. Is that right?
Well, I was an advisor to a committee that looked at machines from 3 different companies, and my area of expertise was whether a blind person could use these voting machines. And of course, most people who do their ballot will mark a ballot and then it will go through a machine and be counted.
Right.
I can't sit down and read my ballot and mark it. So the question is, how do I independently cast a vote? There was a long history with this. It used to be that blind people had a hard time voting because the question is, how can you cast a ballot privately and independently? And the law was eventually changed that said if blind people want to vote, what you do is you go get a judge from each party and you sit down and the 3 of you cast the vote. So one judge is supposed to watch the other to make sure that if I say I want Richard Nixon, they voted for Richard Nixon or whatever. Then,
wait, let me stop you right there. So that's the way blind people used to vote?
Used to vote.
You had to have a judge from the Republican and a judge from the Democrats, right? And
Exactly.
What if there was a third party? You had to have the third party judge then
You know,
too?
probably so. I don't know that from experience, but that would make sense to me, yes. So your secret ballot was anything but secret because you walked away with 3 or 4 people knowing it. Then we got the law changed so that you could bring a person of your choice with you to help you cast your ballot. And that was much better because it cut down on the number of people who would know how you were voting. The trouble is that if you took your father with you, for example, a person you could trust, it didn't mean that when you came out of the ballot booth, he wouldn't give you the devil for, how could you have voted for that sales tax? Do you have any idea what that's going to do to my business?
Right.
So that was tough. So then there came along machines, and these machines are capable of reading in a ballot, reading the offices that are up or the issues that are up, giving you the choices and letting you select, and then taking your selections and printing them out on a paper ballot so that you go and you put it in the basket like everybody else does.
So this is what we have now as far as voting machines?
Yes, we have this now, but we're upgrading. The machines that we had were about 15 or 20 years old, and they weren't really good. They were first generation machines, and the machines that we all looked at are better machines now. So if you sit down at a machine and you're blind, it's going to read to you in clear synthetic speech, but you can adjust how fast it goes, how loud or soft it is. It's in an earphone. Nobody gets to see how you vote. There is a set of buttons in front of you, up, down, left and right arrows, and then the enter key for you to press your buttons.
So then when you press the button, does it verify that you have pressed the button for who you wanted to vote for?
That's right.
Now, are these machines available in every precinct, or do you, if you're blind, have to go to specific precincts?
They're going to be available, I believe, in every precinct.
Every precinct? Even, like I vote in Harrisburg, which is very small. I think sometimes we have 50 or 60 people that will vote. That precinct will have a machine also.
Yes. And it's not just for blind people. Anybody who wants to use that machine can also vote with that machine. If you had a disease that made it difficult for you to mark a ballot and you chose to vote on that machine, you could. If you had no disease at all and you wanted to use the machine, you could use the machine to vote. So it's not just for blind people, but it's to ensure that if there's a machine ballot cast, that blind people can use it.
And it's always been that way? There's been a machine at every precinct?
Well, I'm not certain about that. There was supposed to be a machine purchased for every precinct with the Help America Vote Act back in 2002. Whether that's actually been correct and there have always been ones, I'm not sure. But I know that in serving on the committee, I was really impressed with our public commitment to doing this and to doing it right. And the people who work to see that we have free and safe elections would just make your heart sing. That's how good they are.
Good. That's good to hear. That is good to hear. The other thing I wanted you to touch on briefly is a service that reads the newspaper for blind people.
Yeah, if you're going to be informed and cast a good vote, you got to have access to written material. Where do these candidates stand on issues? What do they say? We have a service called NFB Newsline. It has over 500 different newspapers and magazines. In our town, for instance, we have the Columbia Daily Tribune, the Jefferson City News Tribune. There are national newspapers also, if you want to read them. The Washington
Is the Missourian? The Missourian?
The Missourian is not currently on. We're trying to get them on.
You need to get them on because the Missourian's a good newspaper.
Oh, I believe it. And we'll be in negotiation with them about that. I think that's a great idea. So we can get this information, and you can use it with a touch-tone phone, just something as simple as your home telephone. You pick it up and you dial a toll-free number. The toll-free number says, "Who are you?" We've given you a special code. You enter that special code. It says, "What is your password?" And then it says, "Okay, welcome, Mr. Pepper. What would you like to read?" And it gives you a choice of national news, local news, weather, sports.
And it will go through, will it go through the entire newspaper?
Absolutely.
It'll go through the entire newspaper.
Yes.
Can you skip from page one?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can skip by article. You can skip by section within the newspaper. If you're a sports fan and you want to go directly to sports, you can. If you're a political junkie and you want to go directly to politics, you can.
What about the cartoons?
The cartoons are a little harder because they require some interpretation. But if it's a verbal cartoon, we get it.
Oh, and now you have to subscribe to this. Is there a cost for it?
There is no cost. The library in Jefferson City for the blind absorbs the cost that there is for the service because each newspaper does take a little maintenance. So we provide it at no charge to subscribers, and the state subsidizes. That's
amazing, and that's wonderful. How, if somebody listening to us wants to subscribe to the newspaper reading service, how do they do that?
They would call the Wunder Library at 800-392-2614.
392-2614?
Yes.
Okay, and you can subscribe to the newspaper reading service.
Absolutely.
All right, Gary, and for National Federation of the Blind, your website is?
www.nfb.org.
All right, thank you so much, and please come back again.
I'd love to.
You're enlightening and a pleasure to chat with.
Thank you.
Okay, we're out of time. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.